Hey, Steve Stine from GuitarZoom here, and I want to help you a little bit more on this learning how to play songs and the struggles that we have with trying to play things absolutely note for note, and every nuance is exactly the way it's written in the notation or the tablature. And what I want to do is just help you a little bit with understanding how important it is that you try to sort of edit the things that you're playing to make them feel right to you, look right in your eyes, and sound right for your listener, whoever your listener is going to be. So what I want to do is just show you a quick example of this song, Nothing Else Matters, the little solo excerpt here from by Metallica. So this first part here, this... What I want to talk about with that is the fact that when you play this, for instance, you might look at the notation or you might look at a lesson for this, and it's, one lesson shows you picking everything. And then the next lesson shows you hammering or pulling or something, and it can get confusing when you're trying to learn this, like, well, which way am I supposed to do this? And again, I'm just going to give you my opinion on it. When I play this song, I know how the solo goes, but I don't really concern myself whether or not I'm doing all of the articulations exactly the way that Kirk Hammett does them. I don't really care. What I am concerned with is the way that it sounds when I play it, and I'm concerned that I'm delivering the song as best that I can for whoever might be listening to it, but I'm going to pick or slur, as we call it, which is hammer-ons and pull-offs. I'm going to pick or I'm going to slur relative to what is most comfortable for me to execute the song, not whether or not the notation tells me I'm supposed to do this or not. I don't really care about that, and I want you to at least entertain the idea that I'm explaining to you to make your life a little bit easier when you're learning how to play songs. So for instance, let's look at this first part here. I have... Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm bending the 15 and 14 here, 15 on the second string, 14 on the third string, and I'm bending the 14th fret and leaving the 15 stay there. So my pinky just stays solid. So I'm going, and then I'm doing it again, and I'm bringing it back down. And then I'm heading over here to this 12 on the third string. Now, the first thing I want you to think about is after I do this bend up, and I do it again, so I bend it up and I bring it back down, there are times that when I play that, I might accidentally not hit both strings. I might just hit the third string and go like that. Or I might choose to do that because it feels better to me. So instead of going, I might go. And again, it's a subtle difference, but I'm not going to feel bad because I'm changing something either by accident or intentionally. I'm not changing the key of the song. I'm not changing the scale or anything like that. All the notes are still intact. I'm just changing my approach on how I want to do that to make it most comfortable for me. Now let's take a look at the next part. When I get to the 12, I'm adding that vibrato. Now I always tell my students vibrato and all of those sort of secondary elements that really make the song come alive should be added last unless they're happening naturally for you. So don't worry about adding a vibrato. Let's say you're just learning how to play vibrato or you haven't quite developed your vibrato and you're looking at the notation, it says to do vibrato there. So now you're stuck working on vibrato on this note. Well, that's great. That's a great technique to learn how to develop, no doubt about it. But maybe it's an inopportune time to be worrying about that. Maybe right now what you need to be worrying about is trying to learn the phrase that we're talking about in this song, right? And then add vibrato later. Or maybe you just don't feel like doing vibrato on that particular note, so you don't add it. That's okay too. So my point is it's very easy for us as humans, let alone guitar players, to constantly be putting up new roadblocks or new walls in front of us of all of these things. So our initial goal of achievement is now sidetracked 17 times by all these other things that are getting in our way. So for instance, if I was going to teach how to play this song, we would have... The first thing I would do is I would teach how to play all of those notes, that phrase. Before we worry about fingers, before we worry about vibrato, before we worry about hammer-ons and pull-offs, the first thing we need to be able to do is hear that phrase in our head from listening to the song over and over and over. Then once we actually go to the guitar and we've listened to it a bunch of times and we can hear it in our head, and now we're going to go to our guitar and we're going to try and play this, what I need to do next is I need to figure out, now I'm leaving this part. Okay, we're done with that. Now I'm on the next part, and I have to start feeling out which way feels most comfortable for me, right? As I'm playing this, which finger should I use? Like some people they hate using their pinky. Now, I would recommend to them that you really should learn to use your pinky because it's 25% of your potential right here. But let's say you just didn't, and it's just something that you face the fact that you're really not going to be a pinky player. Well, then you got to start figuring out how you're going to play this with these three fingers, right? And again, I don't want you to apologize because you don't use your pinky. I would encourage you to learn to use your pinky. But, I mean, if you just don't do it, and it's not really something that's part of your playing, I'm not going to tell you, well, go back and, you got to start all over and you're doing everything wrong. That's not true at all. You've just adopted a technique that's different than my technique, which is using my pinky. And again, in an encouragement sense, I would certainly encourage you to do that. But if it just wasn't your thing, then it's not your thing. Don't worry about it, right? So we have... Now, the second step is once we start establishing what fingers are going to work best in this phrase, what we need to start thinking about is, are we going to pick them all? Are we going to hammer some or pull some off? What do we need to do to make this work? Now, when I play this, I pick them all except for those. I do a hammer-on and a pull-off. And I'm not doing that because the song says so, or the notation says that that's how I have to do it, or, the guitar players are going to take away my guitar or something like that. Please don't do that. I'm not worried about that. I'm doing it that way because it feels best to me. That's how I'm going to deliver the best that I have for this song to an audience or a listener. That's what just comes out. Maybe tomorrow when I play this song, I do pick differently or something. And again, I'm not going to feel guilty about it. It's just whatever works for me. But I'm just telling you, as I play this song, that's what feels best to me. Okay? I might alternate pick a little bit versus down picking in a certain spot here or there. And here's the big trick to all of this is what you're really trying to do is get in tune with yourself and your abilities on the guitar. We're not going to worry about your inabilities. Let's just focus on what you can do in trying to deliver the most comfortable element, this particular phrase, the most comfortable pieces, the most comfortable ideas or techniques that are able to sell this solo as being good. It sounds right, for lack of a better way of saying it. That's all we're looking for, okay? Now, there are all the other offshoots of that, which are, I want to get better with alternate picking, or I want to get better with hammer-ons or pull-offs or slides or bends or, speed picking or alternate. I mean, whatever it might be, those are great, and we need those because we're going to keep building. But this song, we can't forget this song is just a song, and we're supposed to be having fun with it. Yes, we can learn from it. But if that little phrase becomes 17 different walls or roadblocks, we're not learning the song anyway. We've all of a sudden, this song has been converted into all of these different technical exercises. Now, again, there are times that might be okay, but if you do that with every single song you learn, you're not going to make much progress. So please always remember that the goal with learning many songs, I'm not going to say all of them, but many songs, is to readjust them as needed so you can play them comfortably, you can see them comfortably so you can memorize them, you can come back to them and still remember what they are. You can retain that information. And you can sell them to whoever might be listening. Again, sell, all I mean by that is you can play it and they listen and go, wow, that was really great. And then you feel good, right? You might, along your journey, use certain songs to boost your abilities, which is great. All I'm saying is just be careful that you don't turn every single song that you try and play into this quest for absolute perfection with what the notation says, where you're putting a lot of faith into what somebody put on Ultimate Guitar or, whatever it might be, And just always remember, too, that the guitar player that originally wrote this song may not play it exactly the way that the notation says or was originally recorded on the record anyway, right? So remember, just be positive and have some fun with this stuff and see if this discussion helps you a little bit on your perception on how to play these songs.